you are free. So it's the color of freedom. And we see it for the first time from the moment that the emperor is being thrown out from the Forbidden City. Can you imagine that when he heard that his mother died, he's not even able to go outside to see his own mother? They closed the door in front of him. He's practically his prisoner in his own house. Till this moment on the picture, we never saw a color blue. We only see the first part of the color spectrum as an audience. Only when it's been thrown out by the new Lord of the War from the Forbidden City, practically he's been liberated. The first time we see him with a spectacle with different color, he goes into an English country club, and we see the color of the magic hour outside the window everywhere to give you this new feeling, new sensation of freedom. The sixth color is indigo. Indigo is the color of the establishment, the color of material power, the color that usually is represent the whoever rule one society or one country and so on. The scene when we see him with his wife into this room with this stone, and they talking about Manchukuo, the chance they can have from the Japanese putting together the new empire in his own original land, Manchuria, so he can come back to rule once again. So he wants to have really the power again. In a way, he wants to play again the game of emperor, two rules. But in this time, not in an innocent way, but in a very conscious way. The window behind him are obscured by the color indigo. They represent this moment. The more he's writing his own memory, the more investigating inside himself, and the more also him become more mature, become more aware of who he is. Before, probably he never had the chance to do this kind of self-analysis. Even if he's now is forced to do it, it's a chance for him to understand his own life. So the color shift towards violet, which is the last color of the color spectrum. They represent the more spiritual moment in our life. They represent more the investigation in our soul. They represent also the moment when he accused himself to be before he was the best of anybody else. Now he accused himself to have they done all the problem of China was his own fault. Practically he put himself in a kind of condemned position in the worst of any other man. And this is the kind of tonality we have in the last part of the writing his own diary. And when he's on the screening room, they see all the bombing happening in China, and they feel guilty. That's when the guilty feeling is shown through this kind of tonality of color. Having finished his own investigation, his own self-analysis, at the end of the journey, practically he put together every single memory, every single sentiment, every single emotion they proved in his own life, and reached a kind of maturity. Practically the same teacher that he had in this camp of re-education recognized him as a new free man, because he's really understood who he is now. And they give it to him a diploma of as a free man. They go live it outside free, not as an emperor, as a normal citizen. In the scene that is nearby the living actor, the original teacher that Auxingelo Puyi had when he was into this re-educational camp. And what we did with Bernardo and with the production design, we put on the floor snow, white, to give this kind of feeling. The white represent the reunion, the sum of the every different ages, different emotion, different color, different tonality, different sentiment. They reach maturity. This platery was my main structure. They reflect exactly my cinematography ideation that I wrote in a specific order, visualized with some painting that I found it in China, in Russia as well, because there was that moment that there was an incredible influence culturally from Russia to China, and the one I brought step by step into the script itself. I clearly remember that when in our meeting with Bernardo, I explained it in a more specific way, all this kind of pre-visualization of the picture. He told me, Vittorio, I think it's okay, but don't go deeper and deeper any longer. Please come to China. Please come to live in China. He was here several journeys because he started at least more than 1 year before that we started really filming to do location scout with one production designer. It was Ken Adams. For many reasons, he couldn't start filming because Jeremy Thomas was not able to reach the financial the movie need. The production was still continue the pre-production with another production designer. Ken Adams was too busy, he couldn't continue. The second was another English production designer. Bernardo didn't feel comfortable with him. Finally called Ferdinando Scarfiotti, the production designer that we did Conformist and Last Tango. At this time he was free and he was willing to come to China. He was living in Los Angeles at that time. Again, with Bertolucci and myself, we practically started with him a completely final journey with him. And so he knew much more than myself, of course, the life of China at that period, and all the research they did himself for the picture. He said to me, Vittorio, before you go deeper in your structure, please come to China. You have to live in China. You have to eat Chinese. You have to look at the Chinese culture. You have to breathe the Chinese air. You have to become as close as you can the Chinese way of living, let's say. And I said to Bernardo, I think you're absolutely right, Bernardo, but I think that in this basic structure, particularly in recognize the metaphor between a different moment in life, a different color of light, there is a kind of universal structure that do not necessarily can represent one specific culture. Can be Italian, French, American, Russian, Chinese. The idea is to visualize one single memory, step by step, the one person grow up with one single color. That can be just universal. Of course, in this specific film, I need to use the Chinese culture, the Chinese painting, the Chinese feeling, the Chinese history to represent specifically what this structure for this story. But the basic structure itself is universal. Can be my story, your story, his story, so on. And of course, he called me as soon the project was already been established. What means established? It means that the fact that Jeremy Thomas mentioned to Bernardo, the script is too long. I'm going around the different distribution all around the world, and I try to sell this movie, pre-sell. The way the movie has been done internationally is the fact that they take a script with the name of the actor, the name of the director, the major collaboration, go to Paramount to say you want to pre-buy this film. Can you give me a minimum guarantee of your distribution? They can be $1 million, $500,000, $2 million, or whatever. And going from one country to another, putting together the entire financial of the project. And Jeremy did fantastically because Jeremy was a very young producer at that time. He practically took the package of Last Emperor in a moment that Bernardo Bertolucci was not any powerful in the film industry like he was during Last Tango in Paris. Last Tango in Paris was 1972. Now we are 1985, 86. Practically between 72 and 86, Bertolucci's name lost internationally his own power to making films. Soon after Last Tango, Paramount, 20th Century Fox, any major company said, do whatever you want, we pay for. And we did 1900, but was not successful in the United States. We made Luna, was not successful in the United States, nor even Europe. He made, I couldn't make it, that one, the Tragedy of Ridiculous Man. He was not even successful in Italy. So he lost, let's say, the power to make anything he wants. Jeremy Thomas has a script about a prisoner, practically, a story of a child that not many people knows outside China, only with the name of Bernardo, Vittorio Storaro, Ferdinando Scarfiotti, two few Chinese actors living in San Francisco or in New York, and we didn't have yet any actor being well known that played the part of the English tutor. The idea of Peter O'Toole came much later. So it took for Jeremy, since the first idea, to put the financial together for this project more than 1 year, having something from England, from China, from France, from Spain, from Germany. He put together $20 million. At that time, $20 million was a good number to do a good movie in Europe. Was not enough to make an international American picture. But that's as far they put together. And they said to Bernardo, Bernardo, you have to shrink your script. The script is too large. We don't have the financial to do it. Mark Pepple, his brother-in-law, was the writers. So they have to sit down and shrink the script. They went back to Jeremy. Jeremy, for the second time, after he read, they said, Bernardo is not enough. You have to make it even smaller. And Bernardo was furious. He says, what that means? I'm not free to do this movie? And he says, no, you are free from here to here. But if you go over there, you fall down. We don't have the money to go there. So you have to be within that space. Great lesson. I remember the frustration of Bernardo when we were speaking, to say, Vittorio, they don't understand me. For me, the script is just the beginning. After, only when I'm shooting, I'm really writing the script. And I say, Bernardo, but this is your personal way, but this is not the international way. Jeremy is right, because I know the American way now, because I did already Apocalypse Now, I did Reds with Warren and so on. Usually they don't start unless they have a very strong, specific written script. They don't want to start the production. In fact, Jeremy was so right that even if they cut some more the script, practically when we filmed the first cut of The Last Emperor, it was more than 4 hours cut, 4 hours and a half, something like that. And I remember Bernardo asked me to cut the negative and make an interpositive for safety in order to have probably a television version of The Last Emperor, the longer version. And after he went to shrink the movie within the 3 hours. But we were able to do all that script with a very recent, decent schedule. We practically did everything in 22 weeks. Because in Italy we were used to work pretty fast, pretty not expensive, and we were able to stay within the budget, even doing such huge, enormous project. In American production, for the same material that we filmed, minimum was cost 3 times what we spent.
老师你好，我有一个问题，就是我不知道您拍摄的过程中是不是经常会遇到这个拍摄时间不充足的这种情况？如果在拍摄现场的话，你是如何平衡这个时间上的就是不足，还有你如何达到这个最初的创作设想？谢谢。
Normally, honestly, I don't have any movie that I regret something. When you have an achievement, you are consciousness that you have that kind of space to act, that kind of time to solve the problem, and you do the best that you can to use all the tools that you have in order to perform. At the end, I feel very happy. I'm a professionist. I'm not an amateur. I feel that I have the knowledge of to be a professional with the love of an amateur. And that make me in a good balance in any project. Sometimes we did a project we did stratagem in 30 days with Bernardo. And we were very happy as well. It was tiny, but we did the best that we can. We never didn't do anything creatively that we want to do.
Do you have any tips for the location scouting? 就是想问一下大师有没有对这个选景地的一些建议 ？Any tips for the location scouting?
Location scouting.
Or anything that you watch for?
I don't understand the question, honestly. Yes, of course I did location with Bernardo. And I was very happy that Bernardo has the will, the time, that take my hand and take me in any location. Because he really wants to convey all his emotion. The first time they saw the Forbidden City and any other location around, with a great passion he did. Sometimes a director can be more vague, and more the production designer that explaining the location. Sometimes, that time was Bernardo explaining me everything. Any emotion they had in any location. That was a fantastic moment, honestly, for me.
就是溥仪小时候有一场戏是有一个白布，然后这个好多小孩在前面玩耍，然后互相摸他们自己的脸，摸那个轮廓，然后后来就都退下来，然后只有然后溥仪在前面，然后被这个后面一个人在摸的这个白布，这有什么寓意吗？
This is really a Bertolucci sequence. Once again, playing mainly with the symbolic feeling of sensuality. And of course, once again, he's never direct. So now in play, don't forget that he's living alone into an house. There is the Forbidden City, and he's living with 3,000 eunuchs. That's the only thing he knows. And the play that they're doing to touching each other is some kind of sensual element. But there is a canvas in between, in order not to be vulgar or not to be too physically connected. There is always a kind of screen, which is the consciousness between one and the other. In fact, later, when he's an adult, he's already married twice, first and second wife, they play the game of love underneath the bed sheet, where, let's say, you are inside completely your own consciousness, so you are free completely over there. So you have to connect the two scenes together in order. Yes, that was the chance for Bertolucci to present, in his point of view, from his point of view, the sexuality of Signora Pugliese.